seconds though.
Hey, Merlin himself. How's it going, guys? How's it going? Welcome. How's it all been over the past few days? Busy?
Busy.
Very tired. Glad it's the last day.
Yeah, it must be.
We can see the finish line.
Yeah. When you're here from, was it Wednesday?
Yeah. Yes, I Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Monday.
Wow. Monday.
Well, they weren't even open Tuesday.
You gotta prepare.
Exactly. You're camping outside.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Is it pretty amazing that here you are so many seasons in now and like this thing's growing, if anything?
Hugely, man. Yeah, I mean it's so exciting, and there's no denying that. Whenever you started something like this, there's no way you could have possibly comprehended where it was going to go. And that's not that you didn't believe in it. It's just that you always want to be part of something special, unique, and successful. But the fact that it's gone and now our fourth series sitting in San Diego talking to you guys, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. For season 3 that we've seen in the States, what's been interesting is a lot of the quests that Arthur's got on. Of course, Merlin's been there right with them. What has that done for their relationship? Because they've at times, and actually played comedically, they've been butting heads a little bit. So, has it hurt it or improved their relationship?
It's a funny situation because you're playing with status games here of royalty and servanthood, and that in the world, in this medieval world we live in, can never be overcome. They are good friends because of those journeys that they've been on and the conflicts that they've had and the connections that they've made. And there's these moments throughout season 3 where, although they are complete opposites and they're completely different people, that suddenly you see they've got elements of loneliness, of missing parents in their life, which they have in common, and these weird moments of that. And they're both not good about talking about how they feel, like guys don't do. So you've got those kind of things which you're not supposed to talk about those things, but when they do, you kind of go, actually they're pretty similar in their very different ways, and I think that's improved their relationship. But it's a funny thing now going into the fourth series, because it's almost time to put those childish things away in a sense, and I don't know how ready Merlin is to do that, and it's about grappling to hold on to what's been deeply dead for so long. And Merlin's in a lost place, really. As everyone's sort of taken their places and moving towards things, Merlin's in the middle, watching all this, going where does he go? So that's a big theme for Merlin in this new season coming up.
Yeah, I was about to ask that because we saw some progression of him being more of the mentor and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Last year, making his own decisions, his own mistakes.
Yeah.
So that's why I want to know if we're going to see more of that, more of his own journey, like him going on quests, as opposed to seeing we saw a lot of Arthur doing that. So
there's an independent feel now, because we're seeing more and more the banding together of the Knights of the Round Table, which is what they are together. Merlin is there for that, but he's not what they are. He's so different from what they are, and he's separate. He's you see him in the situations with them, and he's separate. He's a loner in a way. Not that they don't like him or they deliberately do it, but he just is different. And you're seeing Merlin fighting for that mentor connection. He knows that he has to be there with Arthur, to see through his destiny. And it's not working though. It's not working for him. And he's trying to make it work. So that's a big theme for him.
I was wondering if maybe growing up you had read about King Arthur and Merlin and had sort of your own ideas in your mind how Merlin was when he was young, or as even older, and how that kind of fits in with how you're playing him now.
Growing up, I knew as much really about the Arthurian legend as anyone knew, the Sword and Stone stories and the brief kind of Knights of the Round Table. Since being involved in the show, I read up lots about the legends and lots about that, and it was great to be informed and to know about that world and to educate yourself about that, because while you're working in this in that kind of genre, it helps just to know. Not that you use everything, but this is very much a retelling. And if anything, reading more about the legends reaffirmed the fact that every version you read is a retelling, and that you have to retell it. You can't recreate. And and that's what I found out. You know, and it's great to know all this stuff, but you gotta tell your story now.
Right. Great.
Is there anything from the legend that you're looking forward to doing that you haven't yet?
I like there's a great story of the Mad Merlin, which I like the feel of, which is it plays in the fact that I mean the stuff he's going through in this new season coming up, he could very well go mad, go a bit nuts, but there's a great thing that he was called mad because he didn't agree with war. He didn't, anyone in that area who didn't see that as a strategy and as a way of solving problems was called mad, and why? And so he retreated from that world and he went off into the woods to consult with the stars and what he believed in, and I like an element of solitude to find out how he can solve this. And there's wars and battles coming up in this series galore, and so there's room for it. It's something I'd love to see. But my favourite thing was the Crystal Cave, which we got to explore last series. So I hope that comes back more.
I think for you as an actor, this past season that we've seen, you really have had the challenge of balancing comedic moments and dramatic moments. How has that been? Is that probably one of the most difficult seasons for you as a result?
It's been one of the most liberating, really, because it's whenever you can lift up a script, a few scripts, and go, every story is so different from the next, and it's a different Merlin in each one almost, and you have to put on the mask of who he is, because he's so, everyone is different people with different people all the time, and more so for Merlin because of the secret he harbours, and in that world it's a challenge. So whenever you read a script and you go, how, that's the best. If you look at it and you think it's safe, I always feel a bit scared about that. It's when you look at it and you go, how am I going to do this, and that's a good place to start.
It's become more difficult to you mentioned the secret, of course, that this harbor.
Yeah.
But as years go on, it's become more challenging to make sure that everyone around him isn't an idiot that they can't tell.
Well, the thing is, his dream's so big, his ambition's so big to live in a world where magic is free. Where, as a result, then he can be free, and that it's ruled by this great king. That's his ambition to achieve that. He would be the idiot to mess that up, and if he took the wrong opportunity at the wrong time and the wrong elements, if something wasn't right, if nothing was set in place, and he decided to reveal the biggest thing that could ruin everything. It's more and more throughout the series I've realised he can't unless he knows it's right, unless he knows every single thing is set in place. And in the 4th season, he gets the biggest opportunity he possibly can to get towards that, and he takes it. So we'll have to see how that works out.
Well, I was kind of along those lines. I was wondering, is there a point now or a point soon where Arthur sort of knows that Merlin is doing these things and maybe kind of turns a blind eye and kind of purposely ignores it and chooses not to know?
That would be an interesting way to explore that, I think, because it's going to be an interesting thing when Arthur finds out how does he react.
Right.
Merlin's biggest fear is that you've got a sort of a reincarnation of Uther within him, and that's the biggest fear Merlin has. So yeah, I mean, it would need to be, if it's going to be an accidental thing, I mean that comes from Arthur. If it's a deliberate thing, it very much has to be from Merlin. So how they choose to explore that will be, I mean, I'm interested to see how they do that.
How much of the season do you have so far, like the script?
Up until episode 9. We've done now. So we're filming those at the minute, and then when we go back, we're going to start on 12 and 13, is the final ones. and then we go back and do 10 and 11. So it's weird, but it all seems to work out somehow.
Why do they mix them up like that? Is it just logistics or?
Technicalities, yeah. So the final 2 episodes are normally very CGI heavy and very. From what I hear, these 2 this year are going to be nuts. So they need the time. It comes on TV in the UK while we're still filming. So it becomes a ticking time bomb whenever it comes on, because the post visual effects and everything has to be completed on time, and they don't have a choice. So it's just purely a timing thing and a purely technical thing, and for us it just ends up being a bit of a mental whirlwind.
In America, when they sign on for a show, usually the contract is for 5 years, 7 years. What do you guys think? Do they have them for a certain number of years?
They've always had a 5-year plan for the show, and it's always whether they take it series by series or season by season as to how it's going to work out. Oh, thanks, man.
On that note, I think it was Julian that said in an interview like 6 months ago, he actually started to talk as if there could be more. It was the first time we'd ever kind of seen that. Have they talked to you about that at all? Or?
No, they honestly know more than I do. I mean, they have, I think producers talk like that because they have the view of it over 5 series, and that you could never. I guess you couldn't. I don't know how you sort of plan out a series arc, but I guess you couldn't ever go. What if we only do 4? You got to always go 5, and if it gets cut after 4, well then we didn't get to do what we wanted for the 5th one. But I think that's how they view it. They got to have an end point to look at.
Having only doing 13 episodes a year, does that kind of give you an opportunity to go off and do other things that are non-Merlin and kind of keep you energized and excited for this role?
Yeah, absolutely. It's big. Well, 13 episodes. We film for 8 months of the year, so it's big. It's a good big chunk of the year. And I've done some 8 months.
8 months.
Yeah. So I've done some stuff in between. I did a play just before starting in London this year, just before starting the 4th series, and I've done a couple of films, which one of which will be coming out in the States next year. I think in March time next year. It's called Parked. It's getting released in the UK this November. So yeah, it's exciting to be involved in other things. As exciting as liberating as it is to do something as variety as this, it's good to kind of touch base with other elements as well.
Our part list is very different. It's all.
Oh, did you see it?
Yeah, it's really good. But obviously completely different from Merlin, so it was really good.
Yeah, it's slightly different playing a bipolar gay compulsive fantasist. Yeah, it was
Slightly different.
I don't know, what do you mean?
I'm still trying to figure out, the ending of exactly what happens at the end, still trying to deliberate in my head, and I bought the place, I've been reading through it,
Oh, cool.
I'm still not sure.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Yeah, and that's good. It's always good. I think whenever you gotta explore everything. I think as an actor, and if a challenge comes up, take it. It's we don't have a choice with each episode, because you read it, you go, how am I going to do this? And when you read all the scripts, you think, whoa, this would be hard. This would be challenging. That's what I always look at.
So it's not getting tiring for you. This is still very exciting.
It is, yeah. It's particularly this season, I think, because I've been surprised by the scripts. I think this has been the season that has the most surprises in terms of story and in terms of what the characters do. I've been surprised at the turns it's been taking, and to be involved in the show right from the beginning, to know everything inside out, and then to read a script and go, whoa. I think that's a huge testament to the writers and the producers for the difference that they're making for this season. I mean, the posters look completely different from anything we've seen before. They've taken out the bright, sort of yellowy blue colours. Yeah. It's very much, it seems dark. I mean, the scene that you've at the very bottom with all the knights kind of lying dead is a scene that we've filmed in the series, and you see glimpses of the future, of the genuine future. from the legends, and that's exciting.
What's been your favourite scene of film so far? You can actually talk.
Damn, I can't say my favourite scene because that's
It's a big spoiler.
yeah, that's a big spoiler. Let's just say there's a there's a birth of an element of the future which is a huge excitement for Merlin, and puts him in a I don't know, a father type role almost, which I think's is a nice thing to see for someone that we've seen being a boy for so long. Now putting that aside, I think the only boyish qualities he's got now is the fact that he's lost in the world, but he's got such a mature field of where he needs to go that that's what's driving him through. And yeah, seeing Merlin fighting what his tactics that he's used before, I think is it's just a change in his character this season, which I think has been great for me to play.
You pointed out the pictures, something where we see glimpses of the future in the legend. Are they just like quick flashes, or are they actual scenes where you get to act like an older Merlin?
Yeah, you'll see. There's a scene. Yeah, there's a scene where you'll see.
Spoiler.
Oh yeah, we do get to. I get to be old Merlin again. Yeah. So, which is cool, but I mean, there's a difference because the Merlin that you see in this picture, that's Merlin. The Merlin that I play, as myself, is actually is a Drigger in this character that Merlin's made up, and he's playing what he thinks an old man would be like, and what an old man can get away with, which just happens to be ignorance and anger and insults. So that's kind of that's something fun for me to play as well. And there's a lot of that actually this season. There's one episode where I'm basically 3 different people, which was exciting for me to play.
I won't ask who they are, but you won't tell us.
I'm sorry, it's not me.
But in terms of filming at the castle, so I know obviously the fans have been going pretty much every year. Does it seem like it's gotten even bigger this year and even more people this year? And how has that affected your work style, I guess?
Yeah, it does feel bigger this year. Particularly when we go to France, and there's a lot of people there. It's not something we're used to, and it's not ever anything that you want to reject or feel opposed to. It's just that it's strange that when you film in the studio for so long and suddenly you've got an audience watching the scene. But this year there's been massive amount of people there, and it's so exciting to see because it is growing, it is getting bigger, and also that's more people getting to see that awesome castle as well, which it's amazing. It's such a cool place. So fan support has always been fantastic. It just feels more this year.
Yeah.
So, Arthur is arrogant because he's Uther's son, obviously, and Merlin has a great sense, I think, of arrogance because he feels that magic should be free and should be allowed. Do you feel that these two characters sort of colliding, that they can temper each other or maybe find a balance somehow? Yeah,
that's a big key, isn't it? Is to try and you got to find that balance. Merlin has to find that balance. There's no choice. In a way, he's trying to bring Arthur round to his way of thinking, but with Arthur's morals and heart still in the right place. And at the minute, Arthur's heart's telling him magic is evil. You've got a little Uther sitting in Arthur's heart going, no. Wrong. And Merlin's trying to extract that little Uther out and trying to go, look, inadvertent ways. So you can't shock them, or if they'll attack his heart in their head. But so it's a case of weeding out what years and years of mindset, years and years of training against magic. coming from someone who is born with it and who's it's so natural as breathing, to go, look, it's alright. It's actually it's a good, you know, not all people who have magic are gonna mess you over like you've been messed over. And that's a big thing. So it's just moving. That's the big question. I know a lot of fans are wanting to know when is that going to happen. But as I was saying, you know, it can't until everything's in place. It can't.
I thought we saw a glimpse of the future Merlin when he had his confrontations with Morgana. I was looking at him and saying, that's where it begins. That's where it really starts to begin, where he makes that evolution. Did you sense that when you were playing those scenes, that you were seeing that part of the evolution of the Merlin you come to know and love?
Yeah, I mean, it's that's the thing, is it's whenever there's mature elements within young characters and where they're going to explore someone way in the future and to go, right, you get a grounding of where he's going to end up. But definitely, it fuels the journey to that point. So yeah, it's always exciting to explore the future and the possibilities, and we're lucky to be on the journey to where that's going.
So do you think that with Merlin trying to meet Edwin Luther, like you were saying, out of Arthur, do you think when the reveal does happen, that it'll kind of, he's going to feel betrayed, right? So
I think he will.
Like how do you think so? Leading out that little bit of it, so do you think that's going to put back that fear of magic again?
I think it possibly will. I mean, at this stage, we've reached some points in the story where Arthur may be convinced, or is being shown the right way, but actually he gets the worst ever betrayal of magic against him personally in this season. That is going to be, I don't know how he's going to overcome it. I genuinely don't know. It puts Merlin in a situation where you go, how the hell how do you get the joint? He is, you'll see what it does. It's bad. Yeah.
One of the hard things about the last series, the second series had so many great moments where you really see their friendship, but we didn't get quite as many in the last series. It kind of felt like Gwen took the place of Merlin in Arthur's life, and Gawain almost took the place of Arthur in Merlin's life in some ways. And so is the introduction of the knights and their involvement more going to mean even less time with the two characters?
There is a huge involvement now. The Knights of the Round Table are coming. I mean, they're not the Knights of the Round Table yet. They are Arthur's band. We know that's where they're going to go, and it's Merlin's with them on that. He's with them there, but he's so separate from them. And yeah, it does put a barrier in there. But the thing is, as serious as it all becomes, and as serious as life situations do become, people always push for relief. And in Merlin and Arthur's case, that's banter that they have. And there's still bucket loads of that. So, but in different ways. You know, it doesn't always work. That's Merlin's way in. It's a safe card, and what does he do whenever that's not working anymore? Because there's it's coming up sort of towards the middle of the series, it's not working, and that's the lost elements, you know, as well. That we're talking about, that it's just, you know, finding ways in to someone who suddenly becomes very closed.
Something I had asked you was, and you've guest starred on a lot of different other shows like Dr. Phil and that sort of thing. What's, I guess, maybe a show that's on right now that you'd want to guest star on if you could?
I would have loved to have been in 6 Feet Under, you know, when it was on. I don't know, Dexter, maybe. Yeah, awesome.
We were playing young Colin Morgan.